Sean, first headline that we have today coming out of the NFL, the New Orleans Saints, they fired their head coach, Dennis Allen, something that kind of felt like it should have happened a while ago. 7 straight losses after we, at the beginning of the year, were talking about, hey, maybe this Saints team, maybe they got something this year. No, they didn't. They didn't have anything. Chris Olave goes to the hospital. It was as big of a mess as it could have been against the Panthers on Sunday. Darren Rizzi, former roadie Ram, taking over as the interim coach. Got a weird number of texts about this. Very weird number of texts like, hey, how cool is that? I'm like, cool, I don't know the guy. Doesn't mean because we played Rhode Island football that we know Darren Rizzi. But, Sean, this was something that should have happened so long ago. This Saints team, outside of the hot start this year, they looked like a mess for most of the years that he was leading this team, especially last year. We allowed 2 weeks against bad teams. Shroud our judgment and forget about the poor play that they put out there when Dennis Allen was the head coach. Not to mention the fact that he's never really been a good head coach. One of those guys who's a great coordinator. And the most hilarious part is that the last time that he was fired, Derek Carr was also his quarterback. Derek Carr is the kiss of death. And now this man is on the streets looking for a new job.
This is just great. It's so great watching the Saints team collapse week after week. And this was a truly comedic game. To see the Carolina Panthers opt out of possibly the number 1 pick of the NFL's next NFL draft.
We're going to get to that later.
Okay. Get to that later. But to do that and just to send Dennis Allen and his weird rolling backpack packing out of New Orleans, hilarious. Michael Thomas screaming on Twitter about Derek Carr, tragic and hilarious. Chris Olave's brother chiming in on that. Love to see the family get involved. I know it was a scary hit. That's rough. No one's sitting here taking glee in an injury for a player. I promise I'm not, but this is a disaster in New Orleans. The culture of the team is obviously bad. You have former stars, family of current stars, knocking the current quarterback, almost assuming that he tried to hurt his number 1 wide receiver with a hospitable ball. That's not good.
We have to unpack that for a brief second here. So there was the speculation. Michael Thomas has way too much time on his hands, by the way. I would love a live look-in camera on what Michael Thomas is doing. He's probably in some large apartment or condo sitting on his couch because he was like the first person to tweet when Dennis Allen was fired. Nobody knew it happened except for Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas was like within seconds. It was like he was the one who broke the news that the firing happened. He was so quick. But the real reason here, he's not trying to kill Chris Olave. It wasn't deliberate. Derek Carr's just that bad. Derek Carr's just that bad of a quarterback that he's not able to read and notice, hey, if I put this ball in position for my receiver, he's going to get smoked. No quarterback does it deliberately. I think Michael Thomas was completely overreacting to what he was trying to depict here. But Derek Carr is just, he's done. He shouldn't be a starting quarterback in the NFL anymore.
Oh, he's right on the brink. I think that he can start in the NFL.
He hasn't been, when was the last time that he was good?
2021. It's been 3 years. He had a 9-win season. I don't even know. I can't even remember if he was the main quarterback during New Orleans' 9-win season or if that was Taysom Hill stepping up and stepping in.
I don't think it was him.
He's kind of tragic. I am embarrassed for myself and the show after the first 2 weeks of the season. But we were watching. Actually, I'm not. Because we were watching legitimate good offense those first 2 weeks.
He was not in New Orleans in 2021.
No, 2022, I think they had 9 wins.
He was also not in New Orleans.
Oh, Derek Carr.
Derek Carr's best season was 10-7 in 2021 with the Raiders.
Yeah, that was the big year with Devontae Adams. Or maybe the year right before. Regardless, the New Orleans Saints are tragic. I love it. I can't get enough. I hope they lose every single game. I hope they bust on their first round draft.
For a second.
No, I won't because this is my one big sports rival. Okay, I wish I cared more about hating the Phillies or hating the Flyers. I wish I cared more about any type of basketball rivalry. No, but I have grown to really love my rivalry against the New Orleans Saints. And I think I've been pretty unbiased up till now, but I take great pride in watching them piss down their legs. I love seeing their meltdown. I love seeing Atlanta fraudulently become 6-3 on the backs of luck and a bad Cowboys team. But this is a spectacular day for me. I was sitting at work. The notification came in. I was tired, a bit eepy, and then I saw that notification. It was like I got a shot of adrenaline back from a drug overdose. It was incredible. It was ethereal. I loved it.
Well, actually, I would argue you're not a true hater, because if you were a true hater, you would have been hoping that Dennis Allen would stay for as long as possible, and they just keep giving him shots.
No, because I want
you don't get the layers.
I want
to
them
this.
to hire Nick Sirianni after this when he gets fired, or Brian Dable.
I, as a Notre Dame fan, my true biggest hatred towards the school is obviously the University of Southern California.
Why?
I hope that Lincoln Riley is there for the rest of his career, because he's just going to continually underperform, and then he'll do enough that they won't fire him. But no, you don't understand. You're not a true hater.
No, I
You're
understand.
not a true hater over
I
here.
like seeing a constant mess. I like seeing a 30-year rebuild. That's what I want to see them do. And I hope Notre Dame sticks with Marcus Freeman for the next 30 years. You guys can really go 30
So speaking of a 30-year rebuild, though, Austin Gale pointed this out on Twitter. This is the worst coaching opening for this upcoming cycle. Like, nobody should want this coaching opening. $52 million cap hit for Derek Carr. Chris Olave is probably going to want to trade, and I believe their overall cap situation is a shit show. The roster itself, inconsistent offensive line. They overpaid an aging running back and Alvin Kamara, which wasn't really totally warranted. And Saints fans, I'm sure you can go get pissed at that and say that, Kamara, he's an all-time Saint. He's got to stick with the Saints. Well, you don't pay a running back that's at the end of his career to extend his contract. Derrick Henry's the exception, which we're going to talk about later. I don't know anyone who's going to willingly want to step into this. There are plenty of openings every single year that are just tantalizing, just perfect opportunities for coaches that are looking to take over. And it's why a lot of times you will see coaches like Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, who'll take a year off and then come back. Mike McCarthy did it and then stepped into a worse situation, which was hilarious. But guys will take a year off in order to not force themselves into spots like this. This is a terrible job. Falcons' job was a great job with the timing that they took it. Still managed to blunder that offseason. Separate conversation.
Easy.
But no one is going to want this situation.
Screw you. Darnell Mooney was a gem. I'm
talking about the Michael Penix draft pick again.
Screw you. We got our QB1 for the future.
It's a great draft pick.
It's now looking good. Revisionist history. It's looking good.
I love Michael Penix, and I think that Michael Penix is going to be great. But if you had Dallas Turner right now, wouldn't you be a little bit happier?
No, he wouldn't have worked in Atlanta. Pass rushers don't work in Atlanta. I keep trying to tell you. It doesn't. It doesn't happen.
Idiotic.
It doesn't happen. They've had one 10-plus sack defensive lineman since 2008, excluding John Abraham.
Stop.
Yeah.
Okay,
wait,
how long did
gone.
the Commanders go without getting a correct quarterback? Does that mean that they just stop trying to draft quarterbacks? They just draft punters and put them back there?
Yeah. Eventually, they'll stumble onto one. Maybe.
So what are you just going to put safeties at edge rusher?
If I could have Jesse Bates playing safety and defensive end, I would. But to your point on the Saints, it is super undesirable. I think they were like $20 million under the cap before the season started. Old Cam Jordan is old on defense. They don't have young pieces. Old Tyrann Mathieu is old. Marshawn Lattimore is still fantastic at corner. I will always give him respect, as he is one of the most underappreciated defensive backs in the NFL. He's old, though. Demario Davis, old now. They don't have the young pieces on defense to really carry you or to get by with some cheap cap and some nice cheap linebackers or defensive linemen. They don't have that. It's going to be a disaster. I hope they go winless. I am so excited to see what the New Orleans Saints bring to football.